We had a great, my daughter and I both had a great relationship with, well, we thought we did, with all the staff at Hooley's. We really took care of them um, because we were like a big family. You know, they used to work hard for us, so I used to, well, my daughter and I, would both take care of them. One of them wanted to buy a motorbike and he had no money, so we purchased the motorbike for him, or we gave him the money for it and let him pay it off at $50 a week or whatever it was. Another staff member, the one that we both trusted quite a bit, she was a supervisor. I sat back one night and I watched her, and she gave away, I counted the value of it, $135 to people on the other side of the bar. When she finished work that night, I pulled her aside and said, now look, I have seen what you've done. You've been giving away drinks, and she admitted it. I said, do you think that these people that you're giving away drinks to, particularly one male, is going to care whether you lose your job? You have a child that you have to support. He's not going to care if I give you the sack and you don't have a job, that he's going to help you out or buying you food or anything for your child. No. So she got a chance. I think everybody deserves one chance. And it was a while later that one night she'd finished work early and she'd been drinking. And anyway, we'd finished work and I was in and out of the coal room stacking the fridges up and things. When I walked into the coal room, and here she is shoving a 6-pack of rum and coke or something in a bag, and I've just gone to her, don't even speak to me at the moment. Just go home. Now, she'd ordered a car to pick her up, dollar driver, but the worst thing that ever I was devastated with, I went out, I sort of followed her out to the car park to make sure she was waiting, and she'd driven her car home. I was beside myself that she could be so silly, totally drunk, and drive her car home. So I did go around to her place when I finished and locked up Hooley's to make sure her car was in the driveway, and yes, it was. The following morning, she rang me and she said, oh look, I'm really sorry about that last night, Loretta, but I will be in at work tonight. And I said, no, you won't. I said, you've had your chance. This is your second chance. You're done. You're finished. You will no longer be coming to work at Hooley's. Please deliver your uniforms in. There was another young kid that used to work for us at Hooley's. He was a really hard worker, and we used to pay him above award wages. He was a kitchen hand. He had a very good understanding of the head chef, in which I always looked up to my head chef. I'll go into a little bit about him there in a minute. But this young kid, he had keys to the place because he used to come in early. He used to actually come in on a Monday morning and do the cleaning for the cleaner. Now, from the whole time that we were at Hooley's, we would always be out in the money. Every week, there would always be a huge amount of money missing. And I mean sort of $300, $400 in a night, which is a lot of money for a small business. And I always knew it was sort of in the tabs because we had tabs for people, but I could never put my finger on it. And some of the staff would ring me, you know, if I wasn't working that night or whatever, and they'd ring and say, oh, Loretta, I can't balance this money that's missing. And in the end, I just used to say, look, just put it in the safe, lock it up, I'll have a look at it in the morning. But we could never pinpoint where this money was. So I'm going to talk a little bit just here briefly about my head chef at Hooley's. I owe that man so much. When I first took over Hooley's, I said to him, you run the kitchen, I trust you fully, you hire and fire a staff, you know, if you want more staff, we'll get it, if you need things, we'll get it, but you run the kitchen. But also in saying that, I did learn every part of the kitchen also. One night a week I would go in and I would be what was called the runner, where you make different things or whatever. Other nights I'd go in and I'd be the dish pig. I didn't care. I'd go in and wash the dishes. I learnt to cook some of the things, but the guys at Hooley's, they were so funny, the guys in the kitchen. Especially this one little bugger that yes had the keys, and I'm getting further into that story with him. I would go out into the kitchen, I'd be looking for my phone, and it would have been in my handbag, and they would have wrapped my handbag up in black wrap, and they'd be throwing it like a football from one end of the kitchen to the other. This is in the middle of service. They were just having fun. I always thought it was fun. I didn't mind. They worked hard when they needed to, so they needed to let their hair down. One day I went in and the head chef came out to me and he said, Loretta, the freezer's broken down. Can you come in and have a look? And I went, oh no, I just need this really big freezer. And I walked in and opened the door, and here's this kitty jumped out. It frightened the living hell out of me. They just played practical jokes on me all the time. But I loved it. It was so much fun. And they worked hard, so I didn't mind them playing and having a good time while they were doing it. So this one little bugger that had the keys to my daughter, one morning, she went in and she thought, because the till was out the day before, so she decided she was going to have a look on the CCTV. Well, here's this young kid who was getting paid above award wages. I went to court for him so he could have access to his daughter. We really looked after him, gave him lots of shifts so he could earn money. But he had a big gambling problem. And my daughter looked on the CCTV, and here's this little bugger, because he had a tab. Most of the staff had a tab. He had a tab. So he would go in early in the morning, he would find a swipe, he would get in, he would find his tab, and he would ring it off. And not put any money in, just close it up. The people coming in to start the day, they would just put the till in and off they'd go. And then the nighttime staff would come in. We never changed tills over, and then they would be left sitting there at all godly hours of the night, all upset because they couldn't find this money. So when my daughter seen that, she rang me. I was driving around town in between doing things for the uni, and I said, just hang on, I'll be there, because I couldn't understand what she was talking about. Yeah, so she was so upset when she seen this, and because we just treated him like a son. Actually, I was going to leave him some money. But anyway, just to encourage the kid to, do something with his life. So anyway, I got there, I had a look at the CCTV, and I just blew me away. And she was lost for words, she couldn't speak. So anyway, I went and got the head chef out. I said, come, I need you to come out in the office, I want you to have a look at something. And the head chef was really crook at the time. And he said, when he said it, he said, sack him, instantly sack him. I said, well, I can't at the moment. I said, you are sick and you need him to fulfill what you need to do. I don't want to put any more pressure on you. I said, I will take all these keys off of him. He is not allowed here unsupervised. So anyway, when the kid came in, we all sat down, and I showed it to him. The head chef was there, my daughter and myself, and this young kid, and he said, oh yeah, Miss Loretta, he said, that was me. I took some bourbon and coke, I was going to repay it back. I said, no, this is you paying your tab off. You've been doing it ever since we have been here. You will pay this money back. He got us for about 40 grand in cash. And you will now replace the alcohol. But I only made him pay back the money that I actually caught him doing. I didn't make him pay back the whole lot. And but we would sometimes have 13 bottles of vodka missing every month, and sides of beef and boxes of prawns. And I reckon it was that little bugger. He got us for a fortune. He was bloody lucky I didn't have him arrested. But once we seen this and this happened, I said to my daughter, that's it. Hooley's is going up for sale. I said, we're both working so hard, and to have, staff do this to us when we were so good to the staff, I said, just sell it. So we put it up for sale. It sold within a very short amount of time. I was kind of excited when I heard who was going to buy it. One of the drummers from one of the bands, and on settlement we were supposed to stay there for 2 weeks with him and work with him for 2 weeks. And on settlement day, he said, "No, I don't need you two girls here anymore, you can go." And I said, "Well, you put that in writing to my lawyer, please, because otherwise he could have sued me if something went wrong, and we will walk away." As Hooley's was coming up to settle, and the person who purchased it never liked my head chef. Now, they knew each other really well. And my head chef was the only one whose job never got carried over into the new owners, in which I felt really sad for him for that, for no reason, just that this guy had disagreements with him prior. And but this poor bugger, he stayed all the way to the end, because about a month before it settled, I said to him, "Look, you don't have to stay. I will pay you out all your entitlements. I know how hard this is for you." And he said, "No, Loretta," he said, "I'm staying all the way to the end." He said, "I'm going to do the full stock take for you and ensure that this person does not rip you off." And he did a fantastic job, and it was so hard for him, and I really, really appreciated him. I have so much time for that man and his wife and his 2 kids. We are still all in contact, and which is lovely, but I owe that man a lot. I'm very grateful for you. As I watched this young kid's career after we sold Hooley's, he lost his job not long after the new owners took it over, and he's just drifted around, not really settled into another job anywhere. I think he's probably done the same thing to other people. I'm not sure, can't really say that, I suppose, but he's never really settled into a job. Like, he was at Hooley's for years, and then all of a sudden, you know, he can't hold down a job. Karma comes around. You get what you sow, you know. He did the wrong thing, and now was punished for it. And you always get punished for doing the wrong thing. With all that happened through Hooley's, I don't regret our time at Hooley's. It was so much fun. All the young kids and all the patrons that you know came through Hooley's at times. And when I see them out on the street now or out somewhere, you know, they all put their arms around me and say how much they miss me and how much it was a great place. And for quite a couple of years when I did venture out after Hooley's, they would say, "Oh, please buy Hooley's back, you know, or buy another pub, we'll all come to you," which is lovely. And I'm really grateful for all of them that they patron Hooley's. Just on closing, really, this part of Hooley's and the dishonest staff and the stealing. When you steal from a business, particularly a small business, any business, you're taking away the profits. And eventually, it's going to really affect that business. And then you're going to end up losing your position, losing your job. And with what this particular staff member did to us at Hooley's, it didn't just affect him, it affected everybody within our business, and the people around, because we couldn't sustain losing that kind of money all the time. So he lost his job, and all the other staff eventually lost their job, because when we sold, the business eventually closed down, in which affected all those people and the people who used to come into the place. Please think second. Take a second thought before you do these things to people, because it does affect a lot of people.